Welcome back to Turning Hard Times to Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have with me once again Chris Taylor, the president of Great Bear. He's also a member of the board of directors of that company. He is a structural geologist who's had a lot of success so far in his young career. He is also working with another company that I cover in my newsletter called Duneddon Ventures, which has a very promising, it's more of a porphyry copper gold story, which I think that has a good shot as well. But we're here, of course, to talk to Chris today about Great Bear. Thanks for joining me again, Chris.
Great to speak with you again, Jay.
It's really good to have you. I should mention to our listeners, for those that I think most of them, or a lot of them certainly know your story by now, know something about it. It's trading at $9.54 in Canadian money a little while ago for only 46 million shares outstanding, which is pretty amazing for all that the company's accomplished so far. You can buy it in Canada under GBR, or you can buy it down here in the States, as I have, under the symbol GTBDF. And down here in U.S. money, is selling at around $6.50 when I checked it before we went on the show. Chris, we were just talking at the break, and you were suggesting that you were sort of agreeing with what Michael had to say, and that is that the institutions are really getting excited about gold stocks. You're saying that you're getting banks and firms, investment firms, wanting to buy your stock, wanting to put money into your story. And I know that your story is better than most, I think that's a fair statement, better than most. But nonetheless, you're seeing a tremendous desire for money to enter into this sector, I guess.
This is really the first time in 10 years that I've seen this sort of broad-level interest in gold. And I'm getting calls regularly now, and this is from banks and other investment institutions, and they're talking about openly, they have individual investors, wealthy individuals that are putting, $10 million, $20 million, $30 million per check into good quality gold stories. It appears that gold has finally got a strong tailwind. So this is something I'm really curious to see how it plays out, because the big mining companies are at all-time highs right now, or recent all-time highs. And companies like ours, Great Bear, we went from getting sold down to about half of our value in the panic during the COVID immediate, hands in the air, run for the hills panic. And now we're back up where we were prior to the COVID situation even happening. And I would imagine, given the interest in the sector, that this is still early days for the gold stock rally that might be coming.
I sure think that's the case, Chris. Time will tell, but that's certainly, I know that's what Michael believes. You mentioned COVID-19. How is that impacting your business, if at all?
Well, we had to effectively stick with only local labor on our project. You know that our property is located right off the side of the highway, just outside of the town of Red Lake, Ontario. It's a big mining district, so we had to basically furlough all the geologists and technicians that we had that didn't live locally. So if you could drive in, if you live in Red Lake or could drive to the project, we're happy to have you working there still. And that means we went from about 5 drill rigs drilling all the time, 24/7, to 3 drill rigs 24/7. So we're still on track to finish our drill program by the end of the year, but it'll probably finish up around Christmas instead of around Halloween. So a little bit of delay, but really everything, all considering, everything's going along, full steam.
Very good. Well, I want to ask you about your drill program and the progress that's being made there, but before we get to that, Chris, I'd like to ask you about this royalty spin-out. It's one thing that I've been looking forward to, and I've said that I don't care how much money I've made in the shares I've purchased, Great Bear. I'm going to hold all of them until I get the royalty spin-out. Now, I guess that's in the works now, isn't it? And explain to us, perhaps, once again, why you've decided to do this.
Okay, no problem. Effectively, if you're a shareholder of record before the 4th of May, I don't know how many days it takes to clear a share purchase if you were to buy it today. I would imagine it would be in time, today, tomorrow. But if you're a shareholder of record by about May the 4th, you'll receive a dividend share in a private company that will own a 2% net smelter royalty on the gold discovery that we've made. What that means is that in the future, if the project is as successful as we think and hope that it will be, that royalty ultimately could be worth something along the lines of what Great Bear as a company is worth today. Certainly major discoveries like what we've made here have formed the basis of large royalty companies. These are multi-billion-dollar companies as they grow over time, and the cash flow streams that you can generate from a royalty like this, I mean, at the moment, at our current stage of operation, it's not worth very much, but in the future, it could be worth a great deal. We wanted to make sure that it was our shareholders that received that benefit going forward, just because, in the current mining cycle, with the large producers of the world feeling so rich and empowered to make acquisitions, we wanted to protect some of that future value for our shareholders so that if we end up getting taken over, for instance, our shareholders will still benefit
from what is a fantastic project. And you don't have a resource yet, and I know you're starting to work on that. So far, the stock, at first you had those really sort of narrower traditional high-grade vein systems, the LP fault, I guess, no, not the LP, the hinge zone, the first two traditional deposits, intersections that you drilled into, very high-grade, got retail people very excited. The stock shot out. It really shot up. And then you made this LP discovery, this LP fault discovery, which is really much bigger, much more exciting, I think, to the professional investors. But you have the chance of putting something together, really big numbers of ounces in a lower grade, spiked with higher grade intersections as well, which is really what's making this an exciting story longer term. But what are you doing now? I mean, so what I'm getting at, the stock seemed to have been driven early on by these great numbers, these high-grade discoveries, and you're still having high-grade discoveries, but now you're more, I think, concerned about putting together some real numbers that analysts can chew on and investors can start to put some value on, right? Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah, correct. What we found so far with this LP fault that you're alluding to, it's getting close to the mining ideal, and this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, if you can bear with me. But, the ideal gold mine is a stack of gold bars sitting on the surface, preferably on property that you control, and you have a gun and you can protect that. So that's the ideal gold mine. I mean, that's high-grade gold on the surface. What we found with Great Bear is high-grade gold that goes right to the surface. So obviously it's still in the ground. We're in the mining business, not the owning a bank vault business. But it's the closest thing. It's high-grade gold that goes right to the surface. You don't have to drill it down to great depths. And what the investment market is so interested in is the fact that high-grade gold is so shallow, because gold, with its current pricing and the history of mining around the world, well, most of the high-grade gold that's as shallow or to the surface like we found, most of it's already gone. I mean, it's now holes in the ground, and the gold is extracted, and it's sitting in jewelry or it's sitting in bank vaults. To make a find like this in 2018, 2017, 2019, those years when we made the initial discoveries, it's really, really rare in the modern world to find this sort of grade near surface. So the investment bankers that are basically accumulating share positions in Great Bear now are just looking to see the continuity on the zones. Like, do you have a bit of gold here and then a bit of gold 20 meters away and then a bit of gold, 100 meters away from that? The answer in the drilling that we're seeing is no. It looks like it's a continuous mineralized zone, and we consistently generate shallow, high-grade gold intercepts. So it seems to be the best of all worlds when it comes to grade and proximity to surface. And there's a lot of drilling. I mean, just this year, we're going to complete over 300 drill holes. So, as we say, the proof is in the pudding. So you can hype it and wave your arms all you want, but if the good gold numbers keep coming out of Great Bear like they have been, I think, for us, you end up effectively in this gold cycle painting a bit of a target on your back for where do these big producers replace the ounces that they're mining out of the ground every single day. They have smaller reserves. Where do they go to get the highest grade, shallowest, presumably most economic replacements? And it looks like we're onto something just like that.
Yeah, well, a target on your back, and again, that's why you decided to put that royalty spin out together, and I really applaud you for that. But let's to give our listeners a sense of the scope of this thing, Chris. I believe that you're infill drilling now, which is what the analysts want to see, because they want to be able to put some economic value together here. we're talking about something like 4 or 5 kilometers in strike length, I think. And can you give us some idea of the width of this LP structure, the depth as well?
Okay, to give you an idea, I mean, the average gold deposit in the world, it's a hard number to put together, but I would guess an average based on mines that I've been involved with would be probably 100 meters long, generally a few meters wide. Sometimes you can get a really lucky one, and over the course of a kilometer, you might have 2 or 3 zones that are 100 meters, 200 meters long, and several meters wide. With what we're looking at, the zone is minimally 4 to 5 kilometers long, and the width, I mean, it swells as it gets towards the center of the system, and at its widest, it's over 500 meters wide. That's the zone of gold mineralization, the right rocks, the alteration. We put it out on all of our cross-section data. You can look at it on our website at www.greatbearresources.ca if you like. But what you see is up to 500 meters wide, 4 to 5 kilometers long, and it simply dwarfs most of the other gold deposits in the world. The biggest ones, the big mines, the largest mine in Canada, which is a 12 million ounce open pit at about 1 gram per ton, that's about 3.5 kilometers long. That was purchased for about almost $4 billion Canadian. We're looking at something that has a bigger surface footprint than that, and has more high grade that goes to the surface in the drilling that we've done. So I can't say that it's worth $4 billion. I don't know what it's worth until we finish drilling it. But if you want to compare apples to apples, you've got to compare what we've found to some of the big gold deposits in the world. These are multi-million ounce producers, and I think that's why we've captured the interest of the market. And as I said, the proof's in the pudding. Just follow the drill results as they keep coming out.
Right. Well, Chris, how soon might we start to get some more of these infill numbers, and how soon, what are you hoping to do, and when are you hoping to have a resource calculation together for the market?
I would say on the resource calculation side, you're looking at about roughly about a year from now, simply because the zone is so large that just to drill a regular grid over top of it is going to take more than 300 drill holes, and even with multiple drill rigs going, that just takes many months to drill. That's simply a function of the size. So I would have to say, in terms of upcoming news, what you'll see, because we've been drilling throughout the COVID situation, we haven't stopped. There's a lot of news that's coming back from the labs in probably a short period of time. So I would guess that there'll be quite a bit of results news out of Great Bear over the next month to 6 weeks.
Right, and a lot of the professionals will start to put some numbers together in their own heads, even before perhaps you come out with your own. With about 30 seconds left, what are you doing in terms of exploration? I know that you had in your plans some exploration work. Ron Shore, former mining analyst, asked me about a geophysical target in the northwestern portion of your project. Could you talk about that, or perhaps what are your plans overall in terms of exploration, or are they just basically on hold now as you focus on trying to pull a resource together?
I think to answer that quickly, there are many additional targets on the project. It seems like it's hard to find an area where you don't find some gold mineralization. Most likely what will happen is we'll stick to the current known zones until we get back to, 5 drill rigs, back to full drill capacity, and then one of those rigs will be doing some new zone exploration as we proceed through the year. At the moment, to optimize, potential returns for investors, we're focusing exclusively on drilling off the continuity and the size of the zones we know about, because I think that's what the market will reward us for.
I think that's right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. We are out of time. Very exciting. I look forward to keeping up with you on an ongoing basis with this story. It's really one of my favorites for obvious reasons. We like winners, and thank you so much for spending your time with us.